I don't think most of us even realized there was a crisis there. I was in bed, sound asleep. Two of our night nurses tried to get us all awake, and we thought they were joking. We thought, oh, this is, come on now, this is, you're kidding. Can't be.
We had 3 casualties. 2 pilots, one attempted to take off in the bravest act I've ever seen, while under fire, stepping into his plane was strafed and fell over like a movie scene. And another pilot did get his plane into the air. He was shot down.
At 8:26 a.m., the Honolulu Fire Department responds to a call from Hickam Field. Of the brave unarmed men who are trying to save lives, 3 firemen are killed and 6 are wounded.
We didn't have guns up to that time. They opened the armament shack, and there was no loose ammunition for the rifles. So we took bandoliers of machine gun shells. We were laden down with arms.
8:50 a.m., the second wave of Japanese aircraft come in from the north. Their plan of attack is to once again strike military bases all across the island with fighters, horizontal bombers, and dive bombers.
3 of us were ascending the stairs from our barracks up to the hospital, which was up on a knoll. We could look over to the left and see Pearl Harbor and tremendous explosions, and a plane came flying very, very low over us. And it was a Japanese pilot, and he looked out and he smiled to us and he waved to us. And we all 3 waved back, stood there and waved back.
8:54 a.m., the second attack run begins. 78 dive bombers hit ships in Pearl Harbor. 54 high-level bombers hit naval air stations. 36 fighters circle over the harbor to maintain air control.
When we arrived on duty, they were bringing them in. The ambulances were lined up outside with patients from all over, you know. Some of them were a few civilians that they'd picked up off the streets, but most of them were Hickam Field. I was assigned to 3 beds, and my first 3 patients that came in expired without being able to do anything for them.
The first wave of the Japanese attack caused immediate confusion. But now, the second wave creates total chaos. Americans fire at anything in the sky. Tragically, some of the planes shot down were the unarmed United States B-17s from the mainland and the planes sent by the U.S. carriers.
We had deaths, a lot of deaths, went way beyond our normal capacity.
Time the attack from 7:55, I probably stayed there maybe hour and 15 minutes. Then I got in the car and drove back to Waikiki Beach. And things was in such chaos that the sentries just stick a rifle in your window, you know, wondering where you're going, and it was such a chaos.
9:05 a.m. Radios around the island issue urgent warnings for citizens to get off the roads and stay at home, but not everyone hears the call.
Dad ran out the front door, screen door slamming behind him, me down the steps, and we ran down to the front of the house, looked up, and plane after plane going over. There was strafing up and down the street, and the bullets that found our house were incendiary bullets.
The Japanese attack ignites a fire that would destroy Dorinda's childhood home.
My dad knew that we needed to get away, so we headed out away from the harbor. We drove along the edge of the harbor and along the side that would be where the Oklahoma had turned on its side, and could literally look right at Battleship Row.
In the harbor, rescuers disregard the second wave of attack and start to work on the capsized Oklahoma. Their plan is to cut through the hull, which is solid steel and 2 feet thick.
We had absolutely no information and we didn't know what to do.
The Japanese plan is working to perfection. Every attack not only meets but exceeds their expectations. Military installations across the entire island of Oahu are in flames. Civilians are running for their lives, and American military personnel can only react. There is no organized plan of action.
There was a lot of confusion. The emergency rooms were filled to capacity. Everybody worked to their best ability, I'm sure. Lots of burns, severe burn cases.
10 a.m. The first wave of Japanese aircraft returned to their carriers, which are now just 190 miles off the coast of Oahu. Only 29 planes are lost. A stunning victory. Everyone
felt that they definitely would be coming back because our defenses were so completely down.
11:46 a.m. Reports come in that Japanese troops are landing on the island of Oahu.
We'd been speculating during the day, will they come in with parachute troops and take over? It looks like they very well could, because we had several fuel oil storage tanks for the ships. So that looked like they had intentions on coming back.
We lived in fear of an invasion. We were told over and over and over that the Japanese were coming back.
Hawaii's population is now living in fear of a Japanese invasion. The Japanese army is known for its ruthless cruelty in occupied nations. Now, just 4 hours into the attack, the island is on fire. The skies are filled with suffocating black smoke. Communication is cut off from the mainland with absolutely no hope of help. The people of Hawaii are certain that there will be a Japanese invasion. The only question is, when? On the morning of December 7th, 1941, Japanese forces launched a surprise attack on the island of Oahu. The attack struck every military installation on the island and the majority of the American Pacific Fleet in Pearl Harbor. A Japanese high-altitude bomber scored a direct hit on the Arizona, killing 1,177 men. Over 10 torpedoes struck the Oklahoma, capsizing her in the harbor, trapping over 400 men inside. Following orders on board the Oklahoma, gunners made Leon Kolb abandon ship, but he is driven to fight back.
Everyone wanted revenge. I figured if we could get over to Ford Island, that's where all the planes were, what planes were in. We might have a chance to salvage some machine guns and shoot back if this thing keeps going on.
12:10 p.m. Americans managed to get a few planes airborne and fly north in search of the Japanese aircraft carriers. Back on the island, people are in a state of shock.
We never dreamed that they'd hit our strongest base where the most of our fleet was. I don't think that the officers in charge ever thought that the Japanese would take a chance with their fleet to come in that close.
Following the attack, the people of Oahu wait and worry. The American military has been immobilized. There is no chance of defending Hawaii against a full-scale invasion. An invasion seems inevitable.
We were advised later in the day that the Japanese were landing at Pearl Harbor with ground troops.
Fear of an enemy invasion gives way to paranoia. 12:30 p.m., Honolulu police raid the Japanese embassy. Animosity has turned towards the Japanese living on the island. Don Seki experiences it firsthand.
Saturday night, December 6th, we were playing poker all night long. And nobody got ahead, so we want to quit. So we started shooting crap. I lived in a valley called Manoa Valley. Now and then we see target practice. They're pulling target in the airplane. We thought it was, target practice. After the bombing, here comes a guy. He says, you bombed Pearl Harbor. So he pulled a knife on us. So we scrambled, went home. Then we listened to the radio. Then we found out it was bombed.
Government agents go into action, seizing radios from Japanese, fearing they would broadcast messages and information to their native land. At 1 p.m., the Japanese Air Commander Fushida lands safely on board the aircraft carrier Akagi. With the amazing success of the first two waves, he is ready to launch the third.